Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Walberg, your podcast performance coach, with another actionable tip so you can grow your authority and convert with ease. Today's tip is, don't do what I did. I don't want to alarm you, but I do make mistakes. Not many. I'm probably up to like 5 in my whole life. But like entrepreneurs, I've learned from the ones I've made. So in this episode, I thought I would share the ones I made when I launched my very first podcast back in 2015. These are pretty common mistakes, and despite having decades of experience in radio, I still made them. The first mistake I made was with mic choice. I admit it. I was swayed by the celebrity status of this mic and the seemingly reasonable price. Plus, it looks so damn cool. Yeah, that's right. I bought a Yeti. It was a Yeti Pro, but I bought the Yeti. Now, this isn't the mistake. The mistake is actually that I bought a Yeti and I didn't have a sound-treated studio-like recording space. The Yeti is a condenser mic, so it's going to pick up all of the extra sound in the room. And where I was, there was a lot of sound bouncing around, so it was the wrong choice. I always recommend podcasters use a dynamic mic when recording. The next mistake I want to talk about is that I created my podcast with my wife.
Hey!
Wait, I wasn't done yet. The mistake was that we were sharing a mic, remember?
Oh, yeah. No, that was bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. It's never a good idea to have 2 hosts sharing a mic. I have no reasonable explanation for why I did this. No respectable radio host would ever share a mic. And yet, there we were bobbing in and out on the Yeti. Even though it has this really cool duo setting where you can be on the opposite sides of the mic, but it just didn't work for our space. Can I plead romanticism? No. Oh, okay. Just sharing the mic is a mistake, always. So don't do it. My third mistake. Anyone remember Skype? It was the OG before Zoom dominated our lives, and I was recording my interviews on it. This was a big mistake because it records compressed audio. Now, there weren't a lot of options back in 2015, so it wasn't a huge mistake at the time, but I'm bringing it up now because there is no longer any excuse for using Zoom and continuing to make this mistake. There are way better options. Check out my resources page at podcastperformancecoach.com for better recording platform options. And listen to episode 121 to better understand why all podcasters should abandon Zoom. Now, those were my first 3 mistakes. The following 2 I want to share weren't technical mistakes and are probably the most common mistakes I see podcasters making today. Anyone who has had a 15-minute call with me is going to be shocked to hear this, but I do actually coach from a place of experience. The next mistake I made was to have a podcast that was not aligned with my business. While we did a good job of creating valuable and interesting content, we didn't do a good job of creating an opportunity for those who liked our podcast to keep working with us. It was essentially a dead end. Fans couldn't connect with us, and we didn't leverage their interest at all. Basically, we had no good answer to the question, why? Why am I doing this podcast? Or to what end? What do I want my listener to do at the end of my show? And the final mistake was all podcasting, no promoting. I see this all the time in the podcasters I speak to. They love to create the content, but they do it in a vacuum. They don't promote it at all. They might post on social media, but they aren't engaging their audience. Not only that, but they have no publicity plan. They aren't doing any outreach. We only made it to episode 27. Then we shut it down. Creating the content was and is our comfort zone. It's easy and it's fun. But here's the truth. Your podcast is basically a hobby if you don't do the work to promote it. You know what? There's one more mistake that I can see now as I look back. We didn't stick with it. Our show died an untimely death because we weren't willing to figure out what was wrong with it and fix it. We let our podcast end up in the podcast graveyard because of a few very fixable mistakes, like buying the right mic, not sharing it, don't record on Zoom, understanding the customer and listener journey and making sure that we have a next step for them, promoting our show, and really understanding that podcasting is a long game. So much of having a successful podcast is sticking with it. Maybe my mistakes are your mistakes, or maybe you're making your own mistakes. If you're podcasting for your business, you won't know it until you step back and take a good look at how your podcast fits into the big picture. And I hope that's just the tip you need. If you need help figuring out what the hell you're doing wrong, I'd be happy to help with my free 15-minute coaching call. It's free, just you and me, talking about your podcast. Are you guessing when it comes to any of these? Your content, your guests, the questions you ask your guest, your production, your listeners' next steps. Stop the guessing. It doesn't have to be this hard. Book your free 15-minute coaching call by using the link in the show notes or at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Walbert. See ya!